right, guys, welcome back to the final episode of the Pursuit of Property podcast for 2021. Cade, how are we feeling?
Feeling great. I know at the beginning of the year, we were really slow to get out content. I think when I was looking at our recap, we didn't post our very first episode for 2021 until March 19th of this year. So we had 2.5 months go by without posting any content. But after getting that ramped up on March 19th, I think we finished out the year, especially this last month or so, really strong. And I'm really proud of how we finished up.
Yeah, we reconnected, realigned everything, and it's back on track.
Yeah.
So you want to explain to the viewers why we took so long to get started?
Yeah, I think at the end of 2020, we sat down and I think part of it was we were dedicated to planning to put out really good content. We wanted season 3 well planned out. We wanted the timing to be right a little bit too, because we were talking about out-of-state investing for season 3. Our big episode was finalizing how those burn numbers turned out for us. So I think the delay in our refinances affected our content a little bit, but a little bit, of course, was on us for, not being on top of things a little bit. But because of the timing of everything, us really wanting to make sure our season 3 was great, I think those were the two major reasons why we didn't get anything out till March 19th. Yeah. But I think our season 3, in general, I know we've had standalone episodes, this, that, and the other, but our season 3 in 2021, I think we got really great feedback on, and I loved our flow in that season, because that's what the biggest questions we were getting was when we were telling everybody about these rentals out in South Bend, Indiana, we were getting a crap ton of questions, and I think season 3 covered that really well. Yeah,
I feel the same way, and I think that we had on some really good guests. Obviously, we've kind of adjusted to be more of independent episodes about specific topics.
Yeah.
But our podcast is very different than a lot of podcasts, especially in the real estate space. They have people come on, tell their story. You and I, obviously, we listen to those podcasts. We are inspired by them. But we're trying to go maybe more of a route to actually get direct knowledge downloaded into the listeners.
Yeah, especially since we branded the podcast, and our vision for when we started it was for young people looking to get into real estate, whether that be investing or getting licensed, tailoring to the younger crowd to be like, where do I start and how do I do it? Right. So let's talk a little bit about our numbers for 2021, where we were at since our first episode pushing out in mid-March.
Yeah.
So let's start with audio, because we did introduce video on YouTube at the end of last year. So for our audio, across all of our audio platforms, we had about 1,400 plays. And that was, and we'll get to our overall recap a little bit later, but that was really good growth for us considering the limited number of episodes we put out compared to 2020.
Yeah, we slowed down the number of episodes by starting later in the year. Plus, we had a hiatus after season 3 was completed before we were able to get consistent, content out. So 1,400. I mean, how many episodes did we put out last year?
Last year, between seasons 1 and 2, we put out 23 episodes.
And this year we
have had 13 episodes, with the 14th being published today.
Gotcha.
So, and then with this wrap up, it'll be 15. But as of now, 13 episodes published in 2021, with the 14th being published today.
Yeah. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, at the end of the day, for us to have gotten 1,400 plays, that means there's 100 listens per episode.
Yeah.
Which is more than we had last year.
Yeah.
I think last year we only had 15 listeners or something. You know how Spotify was giving us those information about consistent listeners? This year, obviously, we've gone up.
Which to me is crazy. If we average out the total number of listens across both platforms with the number of episodes, I mean, to average out that many people, I mean, it may seem small to some people, but to me,
we're just two guys in a room just talking.
Who off the whim decided to start a podcast, and now we've gotten an average of that many people listening to us talking and having to put up with looking at us and us talking all the time. I mean, that is pretty cool to me.
Yeah. And the other part to that is that this year we had 27 people listen to every single episode.
Yeah.
So of the 100, 27 people were consistent. We have a lot of people rotating in and out, which is great because the whole point is that we're trying to put out content specific to people with specific questions.
Yeah. And what I think is really cool is a couple of these other demographics. Like we were saying, we started this out. We were open about tailoring to young people looking to get into real estate. And looking back at our 2021 recap, we had 42% of our listeners between the ages of 18 and 22, and 80% of our total listeners under 30 years old.
Right. That hit our exact demographic. And obviously, our content applies to anybody at any age, but I think seeing these numbers, part of it has to do with our age and our reach, right? Yeah.
But that's awesome. It hits the nail on the head for the vision we had for the audience for the podcast.
And hopefully what that will allow us to do is like coming up in 22 is to continue to like bring content that we know fits that demographic very well.
Yeah.
And build that out. The one thing that we really wanted to work on next year, 84% of our listeners are men.
Yeah.
So obviously our info is not, there's no gender or sex related to any of the content, but I think the way that maybe the industry that we're in attracts people, it attracts very, very type A guys, very competitive dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Although what we've seen is that the women in this industry, kick ass.
Yeah. 100%.
And especially in sales, that's kind of a known thing that, top performers are very often women in sales.
Yeah.
And so maybe next year we have on more female guests because that might have played a part.
Yeah. And just real quick to touch on one of the people who matches your description is our old team member who was on the Clayson group, Ashley Full. We were just talking with her the other day, and I can't wait to do that episode with her.
Yeah, she'll be on.
Yeah, and that'll be a good episode that I'm excited for. So I think that'll be good.
Well, and if you look at our teams too, like the people that we work with, they're definitely strong producing female members. So the fact that they're not being represented in our listeners, we can't control who listens, but maybe there's some stuff that we can do to make it a little more inclusive.
Yeah.
Now for YouTube, this was something that was big for us this year because we actually started getting better video quality. For you guys watching, I don't know if you can tell, we're shooting in 4K. But we've been more consistent. We got our office set up. That was a big delay for us this year.
Yeah.
But we got 22 new subscribers and we got 750 plays, which, isn't a ton, but, it's a great start.
And I think and correct me if I'm wrong, our vision in providing the video was not as a replacement for audio, but as a supplement. So obviously, predominantly when you listen to a podcast, a lot of people listen to it when they're driving or this, that, and the other. So obviously the views are lower on YouTube than they are with listens. But I mean, that tailors to a big enough crowd who wants to see video. And I'm one of those people where if I can watch it via video, I love to watch it that way too.
Really?
And we had quite a bit of people ask about video, which is why we started it in the first place, right? And I think this has proven it was worth it to add the video.
Yeah. And you look at a lot of the bigger podcasts, they have video supplemental.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of talked a little bit. Your life to date, do we have the numbers on how many plays we've had on the podcast?
Overall lifetime for the podcast? Yes. So overall lifetime, I was checking our anchor this morning. We've got 2,570 total plays across all of our episodes, across all of our audio platforms. And that is coming from, so we completed season 1 and 2 and had 1,000 plays across 23 episodes in our seasons 1 and 2. At the completion of 2021, we had 1,570 additional plays with 10 less episodes. So we've got 13 episodes published for the year with 1,570 additional plays. And that's coming from season 3, which was 7 episodes. And then we've got 7 standalone episodes that we published.
So next year, I think our goal has always been to just keep building.
Of course.
So
absolutely.
Next year, obviously, we're going to try to have a better reach. One of the things that we realized this year is that we're not particularly great about posting and putting the content out to the public to see.
Yeah.
We've done a good job of planning it, doing it, but not necessarily marketing it.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year we'll find more listeners and share more info that way.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that we've gotten some more feedback and more people interacting.
Yeah.
So we've gotten some reviews, we've gotten some ratings, but we still really aren't seeing consistent comments on topics.
Yeah.
That's something that we both have mentioned.
Yeah. And to touch on a little bit what you just said, I'll just provide our exact numbers with what we have. So as of today, like we were saying, we've got 37 episodes published total, 2,570 listens across all our audio platforms. YouTube lifetime views are 1,340. We've got 50 total subscribers on YouTube. And something that I think is really cool is we've got 15 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts. So all of our ratings are 5-star, with 6 people who have gone out and actually written a review for us, which
we couldn't be more grateful for.
Yeah, seeing the written reviews on Apple Podcasts, you guys taking the time out to go and leave something like that not only makes me feel good inside, but I think it really energizes us that we're on the right path in putting out things that you guys like and making it worth it for you guys. So thank you to all of you who have done that. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, I think, the Pursuit of Property podcast was and still is a completely educational based podcast.
Yeah. With
no other intention than to just put content out there to help other people do what we're doing at our level or better.
Yeah.
So, we haven't really worked to try to get advertisers or try to make money off of it. It's really been kind of a grind just to give back. And, those kinds of things, those written reviews, those really make us feel good.
Oh, 100%. And I know we've talked multiple times when we were doing this, deciding what we wanted to include in our 2021 recap was, and you touched on it a little bit, our biggest goal is putting out genuine, really good content. We want to continue to grow these, these numbers and the views and the listens and stuff, but that doesn't come number one to us, right? That the number one thing is putting out content that is genuine, helpful, really applies to what you as the listeners are trying to do and trying to accomplish. So I think what we've done at the end of this year to put us in a position to do that in 2022, I think we're going to freaking crush it.
Yeah, that's the goal. And we're going to be doing a podcast a week next year. So next year, you're going to get 52 episodes.
Yeah.
They're going to come out every week on Thursday at 11 a.m.
Yep.
We're hoping to add on articles, so written articles for people who like to read. It's definitely going to be a massive task to add on, but, providing that information. And then, again, like we said, trying to just get more people the information, just get it out there more, because we still have people coming to us about questions that we're answering on the podcast that hopefully when we refer them over to the podcast, they're getting their answers.
Yeah, 100%. Well, other than that, I know this was going to be a short one, just our 2021 recap.
Yeah.
Kind of hit you guys really quick with our 2021 demographics and numbers, and then just our overall lifetime for the podcast. I'm really proud of where we've come from. I mean, I was sending you videos, and you can find our very first podcast episode and video, which was only published to Facebook way back when. And just the progression of going there to, the small office here, recording and taking video in there, now to be in our space, which is, amazing. I think the growth is just really cool to see.
And there's going to be a day when we look back and we're going to be like, remember when we had a little podcast in a little office in KW?
Yeah.
It's just going to keep growing. That's the goal. And, regardless of what happens, we know that we can continue to just provide information because we learn every week.
Absolutely.
All we have to do is just report back what we learned.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our 2021 recap. To all of you guys, again, who have left a 5-star review, given us a written review, given us feedback in person. That's what makes it worth it for all of us. So thank you. Please continue to do that. Again, our goal is to make this and our podcast tailored and helpful to you guys. So please continue with the feedback. We're really excited for 2022.
Yep.
And please stay tuned. We've got a lot of great things coming.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you on the flip side.